Jai Hind to everyone. This is Ritika Dhyani. I am working as an assistant professor in Ajay Kumar Garg Engineering College in CSC department. So in today's video lecture, I'll be covering the topic relational model in the subject database management system. Let's start with the video. So first of all, what is a relational model? It is a collection of tables to represent both data and as well as relationship among those data set. Each table has, as we all know, a table contains columns and with a particular name. These name must be unique first. Secondly, tables are also known as relations. Most important keyword the whole video lecture is this. Whenever I refer to a table, I will call it a relation. The relational model is an example of a record based model. It is named so because the database is structured in a fixed format, as the table has fixed number of rows and fixed number of columns and some rows. Each table contains records of a particular type. Each record type defines a fixed number of fields or attributes. The columns of the table correspond to the attributes of the record type. The relational data model is most widely used data model, and a vast majority of current databases are based on this particular data model. Here is an example of a relational data model in which we are having we call this table a relation, and the name of the relation will be, let's say it is a relation student. So this is the table name for this particular data, in which we have different columns and 4 rows. We call these rows as tuple. Second thing is, each column is having different and unique identification parameter through which we can identify each tuple. So here columns are represented as attributes and rows will be represented as tuples. Next is, let's see what are the different terminologies that we are going to use in relational data model. Firstly, attribute. Attributes or columns are the properties that defines an entity. In the previous example here, if we are to define a student entity, then what are the attributes through which we can identify a student? Through his roll number, his name, his address, his phone number, his age, his Aadhaar number, and so on. So all these constitute attributes. Next is relation schema. A relation schema defines the structure of the relation and represents the name of the relation with its attribute. In the previous example, we are having a relation student, and the student relation contains all these attributes: roll number, name, address, phone, and age. So for this particular schema student, we are having these attributes. So this is all about relation schema. Next is, if a schema has more than one relation, it is called relational schema. Next term is tuple. We use tuple as for rows. So the each row in the relation is known as a tuple. Next is a relation instance. The set of tuples of a relation at a particular instance of a time is called relation instance. For example, at this particular time, if your database contains only these 4 students detail, then this is the instance for this particular relation. It's at this particular time. So, consider an instance as a, whenever you click a screenshot in your mobile, you will be getting the picture at that particular time only. Okay. Next is the degree. Number of attributes in the relation is known as degree of the relation. In the previous example, we are having 5 attributes. So for the student relation, the degree is 5. Cardinality. The number of tuples that a relation contains is known as cardinality. In this example, we are having 4 tuples, so the cardinality is 4. Next is null values. The values which is not known or unavailable is called null values. Here, if we see phone number is missing here, so we can call it a null. Next, relation keys. Now these are different keys that helps to build that needs to be remembered or focused while creating your relational data model. So primary key, super key, alternate key, candidate key, foreign key and the composite key. Let's study all these key one by one. First one is your super key. It is the set of all keys which helps to identify rows in a table uniquely. It means that all those columns of a table that capable of identifying the other columns of that particular table uniquely will all be considered as super key. So in this particular example, if we take what are the super keys? So the first super key can be your roll number. Using roll number, we can identify each tuple. Second can be name, but name alone cannot be taken as super key because two students can have similar name. So we cannot be able to identify about which student we are talking. So with name, let's say we are having roll number. Now it will identify a unique tuple always. Next, address and phone number, address and roll number. Next is your phone and roll number, age and roll number, even roll number, name, address. This is also one of the super key. Phone number, age, all these attributes will also consider as super key. Next is your primary key. Primary key is a column of a table or a set of columns that helps to identify every record present in the table uniquely. There can be only one primary key in a table. Primary key cannot have the same values repeating for any row. It means it cannot allow duplicacy. Primary key constraint put on a column or a set of columns will not allow them to have null values as well. Any value in primary key cannot be changed by any foreign key which refer to it. For this particular table, if we talk about the different primary key which can be taken as primary key, the first one can be your roll number itself, because roll number alone can find each tuple uniquely. It can be considered as primary key. Next, is there any other attribute that can identify a particular student in this database? Yes, there is one of the unique value attribute, but as we can see, this is null here. So primary key cannot be one of the attribute which allows null values. So we cannot consider phone number as primary key. So there's only one primary key which is roll number. No other primary key for this database. Next is your candidate keys. Candidate keys are those attributes that uniquely identify rows of a tuple. The primary key of a table is selected from one of the candidate key. It is the minimal super key. So if we talk about super key, here there are multiple super keys as we discussed, but the minimal super key can be considered as candidate key. So here smallest key is roll number itself. So it is the candidate key. So here among different super keys, we are having smallest super key which is roll number itself. Fine. And phone number can also be there because it can identify each tuple uniquely. Next is your alternate key. Suppose we are having 5 candidate keys in a relation. Suppose among these 5, one is considered as primary key and the remaining 4 will be considered as alternate key. So alternate key is also a candidate key. All candidate keys except primary key will act as an alternate key for that particular relation. Next is your foreign key. Foreign key is used to establish relationships between two tables. A foreign key will require each value in a column or a set of columns to match the primary key of a referential table. Foreign key helps to maintain data and referential integrity. We will discuss this referential integrity in further slides. Foreign keys are essential for maintaining a difference between two entities that might be linked with the same information but do not share the similar information. So here we are having two tables. As we can see, this is the student relation and this is course relation. Student and course relation, we can identify which student is learning which or admitted to which course by combining these two tables. But how can we combine two tables? How we are gonna do it? So for this concept, the foreign key plays a major role. Here primary key for this table is roll number as we discussed earlier, and here also roll number is there, but here it is considered as foreign key for this particular table, and this is the primary key for this table, right? So along with these two we can identify a course name. Let's say I want to know Ramesh is admitted to which course. So firstly we will be finding Ramesh in the name, his roll number 2, then we are gonna find roll number here 2 and then match which course is it and what is the course ID for that particular course. So this is how a foreign key works in combining the result for different tables. Next is your composite key. It is a set of 2 or more attributes that help identify each tuple in table uniquely. The attributes in the set may not be unique when considered separately. However, when taken all together, they will ensure uniqueness. The concatenated key is the other name for composite key. So let's say here, if we consider name and address and phone number, there is a very rare chance that a student is having similar combination of these three. So always we are going to find a different tuple for a entry for this particular attributes. So this can be considered as composite key. Separately, if we take name separately, then there can be a fifth student who is having Ram as name, or sixth student who is having the same address, Delhi, right? So when taken all together, these will identify a tuple uniquely, but when take separately, they cannot be able to identify a tuple uniquely. Last is your unique key. Unique key is a column or a set of columns that uniquely identify each record in a table. All values will have to be unique in this key. No duplicacy is allowed here. Unique key differs from primary key because it can have one null value, whereas primary key cannot have any null value. Among the 7 types of keys available in DBMS, there are some other type of keys in SQL, and these keys are also known as artificial keys. Artificial key has no relevance or meaning to the business, but it is often used to tackle conflicting database management systems. For example, if there is no attribute that comprise all required primary key properties, or if the primary keys are complex, then we consider some attribute as artificial keys. Next topic is constraints in relational model. So while designing a relational model, we define some conditions or rules which must hold for data present in the database, which are known as constraints. These constraints are checked before performing any operation. Operation can be insertion, deletion and updation in the database. If there is a violation of any of the constraint, then the operation will fail. So the first constraint is domain constraint. These are attribute level constraint, and constraint can only take values that lie within the domain range. It means if a constraint is age greater than 0 is applied to the relation student, then inserting negative value or inserting 0 will result in failure. So no insertion will be allowed with the age equals to 0 or if the user is entering negative age. Second is key constraint. Key constraints are regulation that a database management system uses to ensure data accuracy and consistency. It defines how the value in tables one or more columns are related to the values in other tables. So the first key constraint is primary key constraint. Primary key constraint is an individual identifier which signifies that always distinct value must be entered and there is no value that can be allowed to enter as null. So these two will be taken as primary key constraint. Next is the foreign key constraint. Reference to primary key in another table is foreign key constraint. It ensures that the value of a column or a set of columns in one table correspond to the primary key column in another table. Last is a unique constraint. In the database, a unique constraint is a unique keyword is used after the attribute while creating a database for ensuring that no two values inside this particular attribute are same. So it will not allow duplicacy in the rows. Next constraint is entity integrity constraint. DBMS uses this constraint to enforce rule that guarantee a table primary key is unique and not null. The consistency and integrity of data in the database is maintained using this particular constraint, which are created to stop the formulation of duplicacy and incomplete entries. Next one is referential integrity constraint. In order to preserve the consistency and integrity between the tables, this constraint is used by preventing links between entries that don't exist from being created or by removing records that have related records in other tables. It guarantees the consistency in database. For example, consider two relations order, one is order and other is customer. Primary key for customer is customer ID and which act as a foreign key in order table. So referential integrity constraint on this connection requires that each value in the customer ID column of the order database exists in the customer table. If an attempt was made to insert a record into the table order with non-existent customer ID value, then the DBMS would reject such insertion and notify the error. Similar to this, either deletion or updation is there, then also the same situation arises. Next is your anomalies in the relational data model. Anomalies are the irregularities or something which deviates from the expected or normal state. So first one is insertion anomaly. We can't insert a row in referencing relation if referencing attribute value is not present in the referenced attribute value. What does it mean? Let's say we are having two tables, student and course, right? And there are multiple students, up to 4 roll number. So while entering the data in course, we cannot enter roll number 5 because there is no record present in student table for this particular value. So this is insertion anomaly. Second is deletion or updation anomaly. We can't delete or update a row from referenced relation if the referenced attribute is used in the value of referencing attribute. We can't delete or update only here. We need to check if this particular roll number is present in some other tables also, and we need to delete there also and update also. Some advantages of relational model will be, it is a simple and easy to use in comparison to other languages. Second, it is more flexible. Third, it is secure than any other model. Fourth is your accuracy is maintained here. For data integrity, there are different integrity constraints, and operations can applied easily in this model. Now, for disadvantages, this database cannot be able to handle large databases efficiently. Sometimes it is difficult to find the relation between the tables. Because of the complex structure, response time for query is also high sometimes. Lastly, the characteristics of the relational model. Data is represented in rows and columns are called rows and columns in the relation. Data is stored in tables having relationship between them called the relational model. Relational model supports the operation like data definition, data manipulation and transaction management. Each column has distinct name and they are representing attribute. Each row represents a single entity. So this is how a relational data model basics is there. I hope you all get the basic foundation of this particular data model. Thank you.